Welcome to the Running Library. Today we're breaking down the key ideas from The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. Let's get into it. Most of what you do every day isn't a decision. It's a script your brain runs on autopilot, and that script can be rewritten. Welcome back to the Running Library. Today we're talking about The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, a book that sits right at the intersection of psychology, business, and everyday self-help. It's not a motivation book. It's more like a user manual for how behaviors form, why they stick, and how to change them without relying on willpower alone. At a high level, Duhigg's big idea is simple. Habits follow a pattern. He calls it the habit loop. Cue, routine, reward. A cue triggers a behavior. The routine is the behavior itself, and the reward is what your brain gets out of it. Over time, your brain starts anticipating the reward as soon as the cue appears. That anticipation is what turns a one-time choice into a repeating habit. From there, the book expands in three directions. First, it explains the science of individual habits, how they're formed, and how they can be changed. Second, it looks at habits inside organizations, how companies create cultures and routines that shape employee behavior. And third, it zooms out to social habits, how movements and communities spread behavior change through networks and peer pressure. Now, who is this book for? It's for anyone who feels stuck repeating the same patterns: snacking at night, procrastinating, phone scrolling, impulse spending, avoiding hard conversations, or even just feeling like your days happen to you instead of being directed by you. It's also great for managers, teachers, coaches, and leaders who want to understand how group behavior changes, because Duhigg spends a lot of time on organizations and culture. It might not be for you if you want a strict step-by-step program with checklists on every page. Duhigg uses stories, real cases, companies, and individuals, and then pulls principles from them. If you prefer a very clinical, research-heavy book with lots of citations and deep methodology, this is more of a narrative-driven synthesis. Also, if you're dealing with severe addiction or serious mental health issues, the ideas can still be useful, but the book isn't a substitute for professional support. Think of it as a framework, not a cure-all. All right, let's get into 6 key takeaways you can actually use. First takeaway: most habits are built on a cue routine reward loop. This is the foundation. If you can identify the cue and the reward, you can start to change the routine. The cue is often something like a time of day, a location, an emotional state, the presence of certain people, or what you did right before. Example: you keep randomly checking social media, but it's not random. The cue might be boredom or a tiny moment of discomfort when a task gets hard. The routine is opening the app. The reward might be novelty, a hit of connection, or just relief from the discomfort. Once you see the loop, you stop treating it like a personality flaw and start treating it like a system. Second takeaway: you can't really erase a habit. You replace it. One of the most practical ideas in the book is that habits don't disappear. The brain keeps the pathway. What works is keeping the same cue and reward, but swapping in a different routine. Example: say your cue is 3 p.m. slump, your routine is get a sugary snack, and your reward is energy and a break. Instead of trying to white-knuckle your way through it, you replace the routine. Take a quick walk, drink something, talk to someone for 2 minutes, or eat a different snack that still feels like a treat. The key is that it has to deliver a similar reward, some combination of relief, stimulation, or reset. Otherwise, your brain won't buy it. Third takeaway: cravings are the engine that makes habits powerful. Duhigg emphasizes that habits become automatic when your brain starts craving the reward. It's not just that the reward feels good after the routine, it's that the cue starts generating a desire for the reward before you do anything. That craving pushes you into the routine. Example: if you always watch a show while eating at night, eventually the cue sit on the couch can trigger a craving for the whole combo: entertainment plus food plus decompression. If you try to stop the eating without changing the environment, the craving still fires. A smarter approach is to redesign the cue, change where you sit, change the after-dinner routine, or create a new decompression ritual that still gives you comfort: tea, a shower, journaling, or a different activity. Fourth takeaway: keystone habits create a ripple effect. A keystone habit is one habit that, when it changes, tends to shift other behaviors naturally. Duhigg's point isn't that there's one magic habit for everyone, it's that some habits are structurally important. They change your identity, your environment, and your default choices. Example: a simple keystone habit could be planning your day for 5 minutes each morning. That one action can reduce decision fatigue, make procrastination less likely, and make you more consistent with other goals. Another keystone habit might be tracking spending for a week, not because tracking is fun, but because it forces awareness, and awareness changes choices downstream. The practical lesson: don't try to fix 10 things at once. Find the habit that makes other habits easier. Fifth takeaway: willpower is a skill, and it can be trained and protected. One of the themes in the book is that willpower behaves like a muscle. It can be strengthened with practice, but it also gets depleted when you overload it. More importantly, people who seem to have strong willpower often rely on habits and environments that reduce temptation rather than fighting temptation constantly. Example: if you want to write consistently, don't make it a nightly battle between you and your couch. Make it a habit with a cue and a reward. After I make coffee, I write for 20 minutes, then I get to watch one episode of something. Or protect willpower by removing friction. Keep your writing document open, silence notifications, and decide in advance what done looks like. This takeaway is freeing because it reframes discipline as design. You don't need heroic willpower, you need fewer decisions. Sixth takeaway: habits scale up. Organizations and communities run on them too. Duhigg spends a lot of time showing how companies and movements change behavior by changing systems. The cues people respond to, the routines they're expected to follow, and the rewards they receive, like recognition, status, convenience, or belonging. Example: in a workplace, you can say, "We value safety," or "We value quality" all day long. But if the routines reward speed at all costs, people will cut corners. Culture is basically a collection of shared habits: what gets noticed, what gets rewarded, what gets ignored. For individuals, this matters because your environment is constantly training you. If your friend group rewards constant complaining, that becomes a routine. If your workplace rewards always being available, you'll build a habit of checking messages at night. Change becomes easier when you change the social rewards. Now let's turn these ideas into something actionable. Here's a simple 3-step plan you can use for almost any habit you want to change. Step 1. Map the loop: cue, routine, reward. Pick one habit, just one. Write down what's the routine, be specific. Scroll phone for 45 minutes in bed. Then track the cue. When it happens, quickly note: what time is it? Where am I? Who am I with? What was I doing right before? What am I feeling? Then identify the reward. This is the trickiest part. Ask, what did I actually get? Relief? Stimulation? Connection? Escape? A sense of control? If you're not sure, experiment. If you think the reward is a break, try taking a break without the routine and see if the urge decreases. If it doesn't, the reward might be something else, like novelty or reassurance. Step 2. Choose a replacement routine that delivers the same reward. Keep the cue and reward as stable as possible. Swap the behavior. If the reward is relief from stress, your replacement routine might be a 2-minute breathing exercise, a short walk, or texting a friend. Something that still gives relief. If the reward is connection, maybe it's sending one meaningful message instead of scrolling. If the reward is novelty, maybe it's reading a few pages of something interesting or watching a short educational video with a time limit. And here's the key: make the replacement routine easy. If it's too ambitious, it won't compete with the old habit. Step 3. Make a plan for the cue, an if-then script, and adjust your environment. This is where change sticks. Write a simple plan like, if it's 9:30 p.m. and I'm in bed, then I put my phone on the charger across the room and read 2 pages. Or, if I feel the urge to snack while stressed, then I drink a glass of water and set a 5-minute timer before deciding. Then change the environment so the good routine is the default. Add friction to the bad habit, log out, remove apps, keep snacks out of sight, disable notifications. Reduce friction for the good habit. Set out the book, prep the healthy snack, keep a journal open, make the first step obvious. If you do this for a week, you'll learn something important. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is data. You're not failing, you're debugging. Before we wrap up, a quick note on what this book does especially well. It gives you a language for behavior. Once you start seeing cues and rewards, you stop moralizing your habits. You stop saying, "I'm lazy," and start saying, "My cue is stress and my routine is avoidance." That small shift is powerful because it turns self-judgment into problem solving. So, final wrap-up. The power of habit is about how habits work, how they shape individuals and groups, and how you can change them by working with the brain's pattern. Cue, routine, reward, rather than fighting it with sheer willpower. The biggest practical lessons are: Replace habits instead of trying to delete them. Look for keystone habits that cause ripple effects, protect and train willpower through systems. And remember that your environment and social rewards are always shaping what you do. If you want one tiny assignment after this video, do this tonight. Pick one habit you want to change and write the loop in one sentence. When I feel X, I do Y because I get Z. That's the starting point for every real change. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more book-driven strategies without the fluff, subscribe to the Running Library. And if there's a specific habit you're trying to change, drop it in the comments, cue, routine, reward, and I'll suggest a few replacement routines you can test. If you found this summary helpful, subscribe to the Running Library for new insights every day. And tell me in the comments what book or article you want next.